Hi, I'm Dan Danford, and we're doing another episode of Money Made Easy for dadsdivorce.com. Have another great question from a viewer of the website. Other than the interest rate on my mortgage and car payments, how do interest rates affect me? You know, you hear people on TV and in the news media and just about any place you go talking about interest rates. And it's a great question because all that talk doesn't seem to make a huge difference on personal finance. You nailed the big ones, and that is car payments and house payments and maybe credit cards. But the reason why it's so important is because even though it doesn't make maybe that much difference for us individually, collectively it makes a huge difference. And automobiles is a great example. You may have an opportunity today to buy a new car or even a used car with very, very low interest rates. And obviously what that does is it lowers the amount of payments that we have to make, which means that we can probably buy a more expensive car, number one, or number two, maybe buy a car with the same expense, but pay for it for fewer years or with lower payments. It's a great thing for us and our family. But even though it's a great thing, it probably doesn't add up to a tremendous amount of money over the next couple of years for us, okay? Probably save us a few hundred or a few $1,000s over the course of a couple of years. But when you add us all together, it makes a huge difference. That few $100s per family times the millions of families who buy or sell cars adds up to a huge difference. Okay? 0% financing is something that's been created by car manufacturers to sell more cars. In other words, when it's a few $100s cheaper for you and your family, you're more likely to go buy a new car. And you multiply that times millions of people, it adds up not only to a lot of cars being sold, but it also adds up to a lot of jobs. Okay? All those cars have to be manufactured by someone. Okay? So that the plants, the Ford plants, the GM plants, the Toyota plants, they all are at a higher capacity because they're selling more cars. That means more people are working, more people are spending, and overall it's very, very good for our economy. Okay? It maybe doesn't add up to that much money for your family or my family, but when you multiply it across the economy and you see what kind of ripple effect it has into other areas of the economy, it can make a huge difference. And that's why people spend so much time talking about it on television or in the media or in other places. Not so much because it's so good for your family or my family, but because it's so good for the economy at large. Now, having said all that, I'm going to add one little bit here this week that I think is probably important, and that is now is a very good time to borrow. Just couldn't be simpler. If you're going to need to replace your car in the next 6 months or a year, okay, it's unlikely that interest rates are going to stay this low forever. Okay? You can probably go borrow money on a car loan as cheaply today as you've ever been able to do that. The same thing's true on house loans, mortgages. Mortgage rates are as low as they've been for decades. Now, I'm not encouraging you just to go out and spend money because rates are low. All I'm saying is that if you're going to be spending money anyway, now is a great time to do so. You know, go borrow whatever you need to take care of it. Like I said earlier, it may only add up to hundreds or thousands of dollars for our family, but what family isn't glad to get an extra few $100s or a few extra $1,000? And when you multiply it times the length of a mortgage, I mean, it can make a difference for families. So I guess that's it. Most of the talk that we talk about is basically looking at interest rates from sort of a global or national perspective. May not make all that much of a difference for families, but it is a good time. So if you're going to be borrowing money to buy cars or buy homes, probably a pretty good time to do it today. That's another episode of Money Made Easy for Dad's Divorce. We'll see you again next week. Thanks.